I knew day 6 was going to be a tough one. It's 90 miles. I was going from Alamosa to Taos, New Mexico. And I was kind of excited because I was going to get into New Mexico. I was going to get in another state. That's pretty exciting stuff. Of course, I start off my day at McDonald's, which isn't my normal food of choice option, but it's the only thing that was open. And the gal was really cute. She's like, "You're on a bicycle." I was in the drive-in lane. Sometimes they don't let you do that. And but she was really sweet about it, and bought one and then packed another one in my in the pocket on my bicycle shorts because I wasn't sure about the food situation. There were some small towns, but you know, it was a little shaky. So packed that up and started riding. Google Maps was really handy. I probably have mentioned this before, but it did a great job of directing me in paths that the bicycle should take. And that was really nice. But started riding, and of course the first thing I see, it says there's a sign, memorial, says please ride safely, and I'm like, okay, they weren't driving a car. It was either a motorcycle or a bicycle, and that sobered me up a bit. Okay, you don't see that every day. You don't see that in Denver, Boulder, or Longmont. A lot of little small towns along the way, and some interesting things. They like to put up, small towns like to put up signs to say what they're famous for. And there was some nice artwork on a little brick silo. That was pretty. The first thing first major town I came to was Antonito in Colorado, and there's a train there called the Cumbres and Toltec line, and that was really fun to see that. And they were actually coupling the engine and the coal car, the tender to the passenger cars. And you can take a ride it's quite some ways. It goes a ways, but that was really cool to be able to see that. That's actually where, as I pulled into there, my apparatus for my GoPro broke and the camera fell on the ground. It turned out it was okay, but some things are durable until you beat the crap out of them. 6 days of riding. So left there, took a major left-hand turn, and started pretty much climbing uphill. As you can see by the topography, it really didn't feel like it was uphill much of the ways. It just, you know, if you look on the map, I got up to 8,500 feet, which is quite a ways. That's almost as high as the pass I had done the previous day, but it was very gradual, and that was really nice. But then I got to the New Mexico border, and that was a big deal to me, to be able to get into another state. I actually felt like I was making progress. And when you take a selfie with a phone, everything's backwards. So New Mexico should not say Oxyam or whatever. Yeah. So, but rested for a second and then just started riding again. Came across there are these little lumps in the ground. They're like mountains, but they're like worn down mountains. And it turns out they're lava domes. And so I came up to pull off here, and there was a lava dome, and they were mining it for landscaping or whatever, road base. But they were mining it, so that was kind of cool to see that. And I saw a couple of those along the trip. So then the next thing that happened was probably the most dangerous thing that ever happened on the trip. It was close. I was heading on the road. I looked down because I thought I heard something on my tire, and I veered into the road a little bit too much. But there was no car coming behind me. But there was a car passing another car coming towards me at great speed, and I pulled over really quick, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty close. That scared me too, and that was probably the closest I came to having a serious accident. But when I was planning the trip, there was a little town called Tres Piedras, and my office manager and I actually looked at the Google Maps and the pictures, and there was nothing there. I thought maybe I could stay there because I didn't want to necessarily do a 90-mile day, but there was nothing there. And we looked to see if there was any food there, and there was no food there. Well, there was food there. It was kind of in a building that you had to walk down the stairs to it. And since I had just had the McDonald's breakfast sandwich, egg McMuffin, thank you, and I was getting pretty hungry. I was snacking on stuff, but it wasn't enough. And this restaurant was really, really wonderful in that the food was good. Now, I was kind of sick of burgers and Mexican food, but they had a wonderful chili burger. It was one of the best I've had. I know there's a place in Hatch, New Mexico that's has a really good burger place. And I've never eaten there, but the lines go around the building several times, and here I didn't have to worry about that. Had a nice conversation with a couple of teachers, and then of course had to order pie. It's the law. You have to order ice cream or pie or something like that when you're you're on a trip like that. And then there was another major left-hand turn there where I headed down into a valley, kind of towards Taos. But this picture is of the topography there, just sage everywhere, and I love that smell because I grew up in Nevada, and just every time I go there, I love that smell. It's a unique smell, and just probably billions of sage plants and wide expanses and beautiful skies and beautiful clouds, and it was really magnificent. There, as I started heading down the hill towards Taos, there was a housing development with some really strange houses, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it. But so I pulled in there for a second to take a look, but my butt was getting really sore at that point because of that blister. So I didn't stay long there. I just got moving, and I was actually getting pretty tired at that point, but I had still quite a ways to go. So just tried to live in the now, and finally got to a bridge over the Rio Grande River. And this is, if you get in the previous picture, it's just these wide expanses of flat, rolling mounds, hills, and then you come upon you come upon this place where there's a lot of people, and you're like, wow, there's a lot of people here, and you kind of pull in, and then you see why. There's this big canyon right in the middle of absolute nothing, where the Rio Grande is, and a beautiful bridge over it. That was really cool, and I enjoyed that. Talked to a couple people, but I was again getting tired and wanted to get rolling, so I got going, crossed the bridge, and right about then a storm hit, one of these summer thunderstorms. And the winds were blowing probably 30, 40 miles an hour. There was sand blowing. They were doing some sand mining somewhere around there. So sand trucks would go by me with sand falling all out, and it was dangerous. So I pulled into a waste management site, and a guy there actually let me stay in this little hut, little trailer, until the weather cleared up a little bit. Well, it never really did clear up. And he finally said, look, why don't I just take you to town? It's only 10 more miles. And I said, yeah. I thought for maybe half a second, I really want to say I did the whole thing. And I said, no, it's not worth dying. And it wasn't a great road. It didn't have much of a shoulder. And that normally wouldn't have gotten me. But when there's winds blowing that hard and that many trucks going by, I thought, okay, I'll take the ride. And so we put my bicycle in the back of his pickup, and he was a pretty strong guy, but he said, God, this bike is heavy. How do you ride this thing? It was kind of funny. Pulled into my hotel in Santa Fe, and wonderful hotel, really nice. Picture of the owner there. Her dad actually owned the hotel, but he was sick. And so she came from Los Angeles to run the hotel for a while. And so I had a nice conversation with her, and that was kind of the room right there, was kind of the hangout room, and I hung out there, and that's actually where I did my interview on the news channel in Tucson via Zoom, and that was really wonderful too. But I knew that the place was going to be nice when the toilet paper. The end of the toilet paper had a watermark or something in it to keep it from hanging down. Really? Hey, what can I say? During the drive to Taos, in that truck, the guy, I told him my next stop was Española, which wasn't very far, but I needed a bit of a break. And he's like, "No, don't stay in Española." And I'm like, "Okay, maybe it's just him." Then the owner, the woman that was running the hotel, "No, don't stay in Española." And then someone else said the same thing. And I thought, okay, instead of going to Española, I'll go all the way to Santa Fe the day after tomorrow. And tomorrow I'll just stay in Taos for a day. It's a rough place to have to stay, but someone had to do it. And I needed to stop by urgent care to get my butt looked at. And so it was nice to have that break and to wake up and not know that I was going to have to sit on that painful butt again. But surprisingly, I was like antsy, wanting to ride. It like got into my system. So, had a good time there, and but well, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself because I'll talk about the day in Taos tomorrow, or the next day, and that was about it. I fell asleep pretty darn fast after I had some dinner, and that was that. It's not often I'm passing vehicles on the highway. God, I'm going fast. Okay, maybe not.